Uncensored cast of pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanger. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome everyone to Undrafted Uncensored. A little bit outside of the normal times because big things are happening in Denver right now, and none of us saw this happening right now. And just for those of you that are either not on social media or living under a rock and just listening to us, Michael Malone and Calvin Booth are both gone from the Denver Nuggets.
Also, and welcome to the show, Patrick Starr.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I mean, we've talked about this before. You know, we were mentioning how there's going to be some shakeups at the end of the season. There's still 3 games left in the regular season. And the Cronkies decided to give Adelman a chance to guide the bench, and Booth has been shown the door. I mean, kind of, what was your first thought when you guys saw that?
I was trying to find a Band-Aid so I could rip off the Band-Aid in front of the camera, but it's just out of reach. Dude, it's tied with the latest coach firing in the history of basketball. Dude, in like 1980, I forget exactly who it was.
Huey Brown.
That's exactly what I said. Thank you, Colin. I'd say it's like totally unprecedented, but it also just happened like a couple weeks ago with the Grizzlies, and it was crazy then. So like, I get it to an extent. Like, you basically know that it's over. You don't want to keep either one. So at this point, you might as well, instead of adding doubt to your decision making, like if the Nuggets do well because they're good and they have the best player in the world, then maybe it starts to work out. Like, you know what, you're just so convinced, fuck it. You'd rather get a look at David Adelman than you would give Michael Malone his last dance. And you get the new coach bump right before the playoffs, which is technically a thing, but like that's like silver lining on one of the darkest clouds I've seen in sports, like for us here in Denver. Like it's crazy. Like it's never happened in Denver for sure to have something like this go down. Like they didn't even want to fire Nathaniel Hackett halfway through the season with the Broncos, and oh God, did he deserve it? We talked a whole lot about it on this podcast. But like, man, this playoffs is now going to be 1, an experiment, but 2, really fun. And 3, maybe the last time we see this core together. And maybe we don't, because maybe Jamal Murray is more hurt than we thought, and we never see the whole core together. Because now it looks like if they're going to get rid of Malone and Calvin Booth, they probably, why not trade Porter and Murray at this point, you know? Like, especially if Murray ends up not being available for the playoffs like he was last year. Like this feels like a massive shakeup. And I really want to know how Nikola Jokic feels about this and how it affects him, because that's worst case scenario. And I'm not even going to say it.
Well, Matt Moore already came out with a tweet this afternoon saying that Jokic was made aware of the situation before the firings happened. He did not request it. He did not have anything against it, though, also. So, I mean, my initial reactions to this are kind of similar to you, Joe, is that it could be a whole spring cleaning type of thing, hence the spring cleaning fire sale that just happened with the Nuggets type of thing. But my reaction is more to the other side, is that Josh and Stan, but Josh Kroenke, the owner of the Nuggets, that he's keeping the squad together. Because just the other day, Michael Malone talked about how some players are full of shit. He said that in his presser, after the Portland lost, and he was sick of them. And then you had Calvin Booth and him and all this infighting and back and forth, and neither could agree on which way the organization should go. So they both were left. So my view is now is that the Nuggets are staying pat with who they have, whether that means, obviously probably moving on from a guy like Sarge unless he can thrive under someone else. But I think Josh wants to keep Jamal Murray. I think he wants to keep MPJ. Obviously, he wants to keep Jokic. And this BS report of Jokic getting traded to LA in the offseason, that is, the Nuggets have already let one superstar and Hall of Famer go in a trade that didn't go their way. They're not going to let it happen twice, especially under the same regime. So let's not blow smoke or make smoke where there's no fire or whatever. Make fire where there's no smoke. I don't know how that phrase should go. Don't put a chicken before an egg or an egg before the chicken. I don't care. Jokic is staying in Denver. They're not moving him. But I see this as Josh Kroenke is sold on Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, MPJ, and Aaron Gordon as being the four, and Christian Brown, obviously, at this moment in time. I think he thinks that this roster shouldn't be faltering this late in the season because of who they are. And because of what's happened in these late games, it happened when the Nuggets went on their championship run, but that didn't matter because they had everything clinched. There was nowhere for them to go. There was no movement up, down, sideways, or other. The only thing that could happen in those games at the end of the season was an injury. But the way the Nuggets are faltering down the stretch here, I think Josh looks at it and says, this is the team that we're going into next year with. I'm not making moves in the offseason, whether it be because he can't move a contract like Jamal Murray because he can't play, or because he doesn't believe that he should. And this is, I think, the GM saying, this is our squad. This is who we won with. This is who we will continue to win with. And when we have these two guys who can't agree on how to win with them, they're both gone. And that's how I'm sitting here viewing it. Could the Nuggets collapse right away in the first round and MPJ and Jamal Murray look terrible and they both, get moved on from? Yeah, we just talked about this the other day. Of course, that's a possibility. But I think it's much more that this is a squad that Josh likes and he constructed. I mean, obviously, Masai Ujiri was here for some time.
It's mostly Tim Connolly, though.
And then you had, obviously you had Calvin Booth. But when you really look at it, this is Josh's team. And he is making this decision. And I think it's the decision to keep these guys together. Because if the Nuggets let Booth go and kept Malone, that means that whoever is full of shit, as he was talking about, is gone. And I think that was Jamal Murray all the way that he was talking about. Maybe it could have been one of the other bench guys, maybe MPJ with his family stuff. But I think that was a direct shot at Jamal in a way, because he was tired of answering the questions if he was injured or not. And a few years ago, we heard the comments about Jamal Murray not playing in the playoffs. Obviously, those were kind of wiped away with the championship. But when those two guys couldn't decide on what to do, if you let Booth go and Malone stays, then Malone's going to win. And whoever he wants gone is gone. But if Malone goes and Booth stays, then guess what? It's the young guys that are playing and those guys who will get the opportunities ahead of a Jamal Murray.
So do you think Jamal Murray has a miraculous injury recovery as soon as the playoffs start, and he's he's just immediately healthy? He looks like he's been fine the whole time, but no, he's been hurt. We promise.
He may play tomorrow.
I was going to say he has been resting, so it is possible that he plays in tomorrow night's game.
If he plays tomorrow, then we're good. That's a good thing. That's him actually showing up and not like pretending to be hurt. If they're shutting down the starters for the playoffs, that's one thing. But like we're so beyond any kind of talks of that. Like, holy shit, the coach and GM are gone. What the fuck? Breaking news: the Nuggets hire Nico Harrison as their GM and trade Jokic to the Lakers for fucking Dalton Connect and the Ice Capades.
Yeah. All right, Joe. You're muted. See you later. Yeah. That is not happening. April Fool's was 7 days ago, so not going to fall for that one.
That's how seriously I take any kind of report that Jokic is getting, especially to the Lakers. There's no way. Yeah. If anything like that would happen, he would leave. He would just be done. Maybe with the NBA. Maybe just go play in Serbia or Europe or some shit. do a Magic
Could you
Johnson,
imagine the
just
time off he
show
would
up
have with
for
his
All-Star
horses back
games.
home?
Dude, the amount of horses.
Like,
But no, I think
like,
he has
dude, just have so
a
much
sort of
fun.
loyalty. Yeah, right, dude. So many horses. But I think he'll stick around, man. I think he has a loyalty to, as long as they don't fuck it up. Knock on wood. He has a loyalty to this organization and to the city and to his teammates. And so I feel like there's a good chance that we keep Jokic around. But that has to be a constant concern because we know basketball is not his number one priority. It's becoming closer and closer to his number one as he realizes how great winning is, but it's not his number one. Sorry, Nick.
Well, he's going to fulfill his obligation in his contract. We all know that.
Well, that for
He's
sure.
going to stay in Denver. I mean, if you as a new GM come in and one of the first things you do is trade Nikola Jokic, there are millions of people lining up with pitchforks and bales of hay on fire, ready to burn that place down with you in it.
You thought Dallas was bad? Ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I legit would not be surprised if Ball Arena had like terrible damage, and big security escorts. If that were like ridiculous, it's not a joke, and it shouldn't happen that way over a game. But because of what Nikola Jokic has meant to, I mean, me as a longstanding Nuggets fan, I mean, I know you guys are too. As a longstanding Nuggets fan, I canceled a trip as a baseball fan to go see, Boston and Fenway Park and the Wall. I canceled that trip. Yeah, I canceled the trip to see the Monster because the Nuggets won a parade.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite missions in Fallout.
That's how big Jokic has been for this team, this community, and the revival of Nuggets basketball here. Because I sit here and think right now, if it was a Melo-led championship, it's unfair to say. I can't really compare that because at the end it was very soured.
And it was also Melo and Chauncey.
I don't know what I would have canceled as much.
It felt better.
Like, I don't know what I would have canceled that would have had the same value as another championship at another time. This one felt genuine, like they were a team of the people, built around maybe not even no names, but homegrown guys who wanted to be here, who loved being here, or part of the community. And so, Ball Arena would be off limits to anybody not ticketed, and security would be starting out on honorary campus and probably check like 3 or 4 times with dogs on the way in. Because people would be that pissed off and would go to that crazy extremes, which are like, it's crazy that we live in a world that we have to say that people would go to those extremes, but that's what would happen in Denver if you traded away who was basically the heart and soul of this basketball team.
Yeah. And I mean, he means too much. And I think the second his name is legitimately in trade talks, he's done. He doesn't want to go anywhere else.
He might retire.
Yeah. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. It's you're not trading me. I'll finish this year and I'll retire. I'm going back to Serbia. I'm not going to another team. I'm not going to another city. I'm not reestablishing myself. I'm going to go win with horses instead of win with the boys.
Well, and I don't know. When I think about it, I think about like I've talked to, like we've all talked to people, I guess I should say.
Never once.
Well, I guess we're not talking to Nick anymore.
Sorry, I had to get my beverage. Didn't want to.
I mean, we've all talked to people at times, I want to say. At least I know, I guess I can say I have. I've talked to people at times, and when I hear their stories about growing up in some of their childhood and their home environment, I'm like, holy crap, how did you turn out all right? And the Nuggets,
like me,
the parents were creating such a toxic environment within the Nuggets. Like those two guys, Malone and Booth, were both just at such odds with each other that it's hard to imagine being successful. And that's why I related to one of those stories about kids who's, whether it be broken homes or homes that are just like, how the hell did you survive and become whatever you are, doctor, teacher, nurse, garbage man. I don't care. Like, how did you get out of that situation successfully? And I think Josh stood there and looked at it and was like, these guys are not getting, this situation is untenable. It's not going to be successful. And so we need a break in order to give these kids, obviously they're not all kids at all, but give the kids an opportunity to be the best version of themselves. And the best way to do that was a clean break with a new set of parents.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, because I mean, you think about it, this is like the parents arguing in front of the kids, and then Josh Kroenke being the friend to go pick up their kids from visiting their friends, shows up and goes, whoa. Number one, you guys don't need to be doing that in front of my kids, let alone your own kids. You guys should really talk to this guy. Here's your divorce attorney. And if you need a place to stay for a little bit, I'll help you out there. Other than that, knock your shit off.
I'm just picturing like
they're finding the new aunt and uncle to hang out
in the middle.
Yeah.
I sit here and that's all I can think about what was happening, because I don't think the Nuggets could have. I mean, we all talked about it at the trade deadline. Booth's contract was up, and if the Nuggets didn't make a serious championship run with the lack of moves at the trade deadline, he wasn't going to get renewed. Most likely, Malone's wasn't. Malone still had time on the deal, so this really was just that. If one side wins in this case, it was going to be worse off for the future of the organization. And it sucks to say that, because I don't think that Malone, I think we all should have started off with this. I mean, it's a sad day because I love Michael Malone as a coach. I mean, he brought us the first championship, helped bring that team together. But I think that if either of those guys had won, it would have set a precedent for the future of the franchise that Josh probably didn't want to have someone who felt like they wielded that much power.
Well, and I think too, you add on top of that.
I was just gonna say he just didn't want like Malone to feel like a Belichick type of guy, and that, because that's probably what would have happened, because they were like, I won the fight, I'm the favorite, and I can do whatever the hell I want from here on out. Screw your draft picks, because guess what? Josh cares about his draft picks also.
Yeah. You know what? It's like when Josh McDaniels used to call like 18 screen passes in a game, and then you'd get really pissed off when one actually worked. Correll Buckhalter breaks off a 35-yard run on a screen pass, and you're like, you know what? I'm actually upset because he's going to call that shit 10 more times.
Well, and I mean, you got to figure too, you already have a GM that doesn't have control of the team, because you've got a head coach that's clearly going back and forth with him. Well, that coach is going back and forth with him probably in front of the team, which means Malone's starting to lose control of the locker room too. And, and you guys brought it up earlier, is Jamal really hurt?
Yeah.
Is this Jamal just a silent protest of, oh, my hamstring's a little tight today, I'm going to need a day off? And next thing you know, you're in a 4-game losing streak. You're about to fall into the play-in tournament. And, you have, like you said, Colin, you have no winners. It's all no winners anymore. It's just basically they're both pulling on the reins of the horse, but one wants to go left, one wants to go right, and the horse is going straight.
I mean, David Adelman's kind of a winner. He gets to coach Nikola Jokic in the playoffs now. Granted, and it can always look terrible because he also doesn't have a lot of time to prepare everything. I'm wondering if most of the coaching staff, if not all the rest of the coaching staff, will stick around. My guy Popeye Jones, but like it's, man,
He's not going into this blind though.
No, he's not, for sure. He's a smart coach too. And so I'm wondering what kind of adjustments and like different things he may do, or if he just tries to keep it relatively the same, just without all the turmoil. Because I was listening to some ESPN stuff, and apparently they've gone for long periods of time this year, Michael Malone and Kevin Booth, of just not speaking, where they had to have go-betweens communicate for them because they would not speak. And you can't have that in a fucking championship caliber organization. It's especially with Nikola Jokic, like it's not going to work. You just can't have that, and it does hurt. But now I get like as a video game player, now my brain starts turning of like, okay, Bob Myers, who can we bring in? Anybody but Doc Rivers.
Well, and I don't know anybody but Doc Rivers. That's probably a good call. What I would say is that I have no problem with Adelman. One thing I mean,
Yeah.
Adelman has been in conversations for head coaching jobs multiple times.
I think he's been.
He is obviously a Malone guy, but I don't think he's cut from the same cloth as Malone. I don't think he's as abrasive as Malone can be. It feels like he's I don't know, maybe he's a gentle lover. It seems like he probably has a softer touch to some of the things that when he approaches and when he's coaching, we've heard him step in different games. And I'm wondering even now, because earlier this season, you remember when Malone missed 2 or 3 games because of his daughter's volleyball? And I'm not saying that wasn't an important thing, but I'm saying it might have been kind of convenient timing for them to for Booth and Malone to kind of get away from each other early on in the season, because you had to know early on with the amount of time that Westbrook was playing also that Calvin Booth was sitting there like, where's Strother? Where's Hunter Tyson? Where's blah, blah, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, whatever. The only veteran he wouldn't play was Saric because he gave him like 5 chances and that was it. He had plenty of chances and he was over it. But yeah. I kind of wonder if that was a timing thing where it was a team imposed, and this is all speculation. I don't know if we'll ever really. Well, we probably will know.
We'll get those tell-alls at some point.
Malone someone's going to write a book.
At least he'll tell us his side of the story. I don't know if Calvin Booth, if he ever publishes.
I expect Calvin Booth to write the book first.
He's a lot less of a. I don't know if you want to do that and leave Malone to the rebuttals.
Yeah, well, I mean, he seems like the kind of GM that like gets fired. Maybe he gets 1-2 more jobs and then just kind of disappears into the abyss. Like we all know his name because he's tied to the Nuggets, but other than that, he just kind of disappears.
Yeah, it goes.
I mean, we'll see.
Assistant for somebody, I guess. Yeah,
But he could be a GM. Like he could point to the fact that he was pretty hamstrung with this roster this year.
Yeah,
as far as what he could do, and if he goes to a
Phoenix.
Team, that'll be an easier task.
As Malone goes to Memphis
that would
coach.
I'm so good at dealing with hamstrung rosters.
Yeah, that would be his approach. Would be like, hey, I didn't really have the opportunity to do the things I wanted to do as a GM because of these contracts, because of the way things played out here. These are the moves I would have liked. These are the moves I would like to have made and would have made if it would have been possible, but it simply wasn't. And I think that would be his approach to getting another GM job. He's young enough and maybe not well respected. He's known enough in NBA circles that he'll get another chance. Most likely, will it be right away? Probably not. Excuse me.
Those 2 expansion teams coming up too. So
most likely, yeah.
2 more GM jobs. The guy that took the Nuggets over the hump, what Tim Connolly couldn't do, which you got to still give him credit for. He did the moves that Tim Connolly
built most of that.
Yeah.
Oh, true, 100%. Like Connolly gets, it's Hitch. Connolly gets 90, but Booth gets 10.
Yeah.
Because Connolly built it, but he was stuck with Will Barton and these guys that he loved. And Booth finally ripped the Band-Aid off. Damn it, I wish I had that Band-Aid. And made that trade and brought in KCP and brought in Bruce Brown. But that's it. That's after that, it was all downhill. And not in like a good way where you're like, yes, now they could stop pedaling. It was like an oh God. So I do understand the move. It just feels very Cleveland Browns to just do it at this time of the year. But you know what? If it works, then maybe David Adelman is just the head coach, and we just stick with that, and then we bring in a GM, Bob Myers, and figure something out.
like I was, and don't forget Christian Brown as far as one of his draft picks too.
That's true. Yeah. Peyton
Like
Swatson.
it's turned out pretty well. It's Swatson. We don't know how De'Aaron Holmes is going to turn out, or Darren, whatever. Duran. I knew I was saying it wrong. Duran Holmes. We don't know how it's going to turn out. The 10 minutes of play before he ruptured his Achilles looked good.
Yeah.
It was Achilles, right?
The hell of a 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah, it was like, oh, sweet. He had a big dunk and a block, and then it was over. So who knows how that, like I said, all plays out. And I'm not trying to say Calvin Booth got a raw deal. I don't my view is that these two pushed everything to the edge, and Josh had enough, and he was done with it. He wasn't going to go through a postseason watching this squad have to deal with this infighting and instability within the management ranks. That's the outside view looking in with maybe a little bit of inside information, but nothing that no one else can't find or hasn't seen.
Well, the Nuggets have been a perennial playoff team since before COVID. That's been a constant theme here in Denver. Is now the Nuggets are playoff teams. They're a perennial postseason team, and you can't have a GM and a coach fighting. The Nuggets have proven how tough it is to win in the postseason as it is, especially for the Nuggets.
Yeah,
they finally have it. It took them 50 years to get a championship here in Denver, an NBA championship. And to have that tension going on top of the stress that is already the NBA finals or NBA playoffs, that's too much for one organization to continue to carry. I don't care if you are the New England Patriots. They eventually broke that band up too, because there was just too much tension going on, and you can't win with it. And if you're going to have tension anywhere, it's got to be because these players want to win. And they want to succeed and move on to the next round. And Colin, you look like you want to shoot yourself right now.
No, I just
epiphany,
dude,
eureka.
No, I just
it happened. He's got it,
dude. The Nuggets need to bring back Masai Ujiri from Toronto.
Just buy him back.
I got to look up his contract. But when I said his name earlier, I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember how long his contract was, but I'm pretty damn sure. I'm going to do some research here real quick as we talk, but I could see, because Josh and him were really close. And I know it hurt Josh, but he understood. At least that's everything that was said. When Masai went to Toronto, he understood everything behind it. Masai has also won a championship now without Josh.
Expires in 26. That's
buy him out.
You could buy it out.
Like those guys, when I was working courtside for the Nuggets, those guys were in lockstep with each other all the damn time. Like right as the tunnel that I would walk in and out of all the time, they were always there talking. They were always together. They were looking and showing each other different things on their cell phones throughout the whole time. When the Nene trade went down, and like they were there with each other, and like throughout all of that, those guys were, like I said, hand in hand. Now that both guys have won on their own, I'm wondering if it is a reunion of sorts, because he's I liked Masai Ujiri a lot, and no one could blame him for leaving. But I think if his buddy Josh calls and says, "Hey, this is the squad we got compared to what you have in Toronto. You built something there. You won it there. Let's do what we wanted to do from the start all together over again."
If you do that, I also would then be considering, because there's rumors that Philly is going to be one and done and just move on from Nick Nurse. I would heavily consider, because he's one of the smartest NBA coaches, I want to say NFL, in the league. And since they're just kind of maybe having to blow everything up with Embiid being fuck all, who knows, I'd be potentially interested in a reunion of that kind of front office to an extent, of Masai and Nick Nurse from Toronto when they won with Kawhi in the Miracle year. Yeah. Let's trade Jamal for Kawhi. Let's go.
No. We don't need two guys. Well, we don't need to trade one guy who plays half the season for another guy who plays a quarter of the season.
What's the difference? Who cares?
Quarter of the season?
About 25%.
About 45%. But 60% of the time, he looks so good right now in garbage time regular season, Colin. I'm kidding. But these are now the conversations that we sadly have to, but in a way get to, because they're fun conversations to have. It just sucks when it's about your team. But man, the possibilities are endless. And you were saying about Josh Kroenke and liking this squad. I think he definitely likes Michael Porter Jr. Porter is his guy. He's appeared on Porter's podcast. Shout outs to the Curious Mike podcast. You ever want to collab, just let us know. But that's his guy. I don't know if Jamal Murray is his guy. I don't know if Aaron Gordon is his guy. And that scares me because I love Aaron Gordon. But we have to think about moves that we might disagree with or don't necessarily see that they might be looking at now. And you see that sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Boston getting Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis like that. Nobody saw that move coming, but Milwaukee sure fucked that up. So, it's going to be fascinating to watch, man. But also for the short term, it's going to be fun to watch the Nuggets and Adelman. After watching the Lakers show, Winning Time on HBO, and we've got our Adrian Brody. I'm not saying David Adelman is fucking Pat Riley. Who knows? He doesn't have the hair to slick back, first of all. But this is going to be really interesting to watch because this is his audition. And this is now our first kind of taste of, well, fuck, if we get rid of this, how much better could it get, or could it get worse? Would a new guy come in, if some asshole decides that Doc Rivers is the way to go? I would rather keep David Adelman, chaos. I feel like Doctor Strange with all the hands and the time stone, Except I don't see that one because I don't have magic powers. I'm just looking at all the shit, just kind of freaking out.
So the playoffs are in the Nuggets' future.
Yes.
No. Go.
Okay, sorry, my
there?
I'm still
I was
getting
just
AI stuff, so my computer's chopping up.
All I was gonna say is I do think that
Am I chopping again?
I do think that Aaron Gordon is his guy. I do think that Jamal is one of his guys. I think that he likes all those guys and wants to keep them. You got to remember that ever since the Nene trade for with JaVale McGee, he's always liked that athletic kind of guy who was an advantage player. Now JaVale McGee definitely was not always the advantage player because of some mental errors, and Aaron Gordon he can be one of those cheat codes. And when you have a guy like Jokic, you can always find him. In the way that Gordon has improved, I forgot or didn't know really about that podcast stuff, but I think that the JaVale McGee thing kind of set that up with how he liked his big men to kind of be super athletic and do all those different things. And so that's why I think Aaron Gordon is a big part of, one of Josh's guys.
I hope so.
Who do you think talked Josh into making sure that contract went through for Jamal Murray? It wasn't Michael Malone. I highly doubt it was Michael Malone.
Maybe at the time, because he was so behind Jamal during his injury years. So Jamal thought he was getting traded, and Malone was like that father figure to him. So the relationship definitely has soured, but at the time, but you absolutely could be right too, Colin. I would point the right direction here. We just don't know, and we're waiting. Who writes the book first, and whose book do you believe?
Well, and so as I was trying to, until I got interrupted by my internet,
Like 20 minutes ago.
The playoffs are obviously inevitable for the Nuggets right now. Either they stay above the plan or they end up falling to the tournament. What does this new coach now mean for the Nuggets going into this final few games in the postseason push?
My opinion is much like, going over to a new place. They're on their best behavior. They're going to play their asses off. How long will that last? If there's actually dysfunction in this locker room, I think we'll see that, but I don't think we'll see it right away. I think these guys are going to come together because
right now
they do understand that these two guys lost their jobs over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so I see them coming together. Now, I don't know if that can hold if there is dysfunction, but I think that going forward, these guys, I don't think Jokic is going to take any less than their best efforts in here, because I think Jokic he cares about people a lot. And I think it probably hurts him to see those guys go, but he understood it. And
he was told about it.
I think he might think that it might make the team better in the long run because of what was going on. So these guys being on their best behavior, maybe they'll play some defense if it's in their DNA somewhere. I'm not too sour on their playoff hopes yet, but I also want to see maybe not what this next one game looks like, because there's a little bit of shock factor.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
But give me the last 2 games of the season.
Even those, man, they may just be keeping it relatively close to the chest,
So I don't know. That's for the playoffs. I'm not worried about it. Early on, I think that whoever they face, I guess it could be either way. I think they're going to be fine, though. I think they're going to be fine, or they're just going to get swept out and it's a wash, and then we figure it out from there. But I think that right away, best behavior, these guys are going to go out and ball.
Man, as a basketball fan, it sounds insane to see Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets in a one-off, win or go home play-in game type scenario. That sounds amazing to watch. Most likely, yes. But everything's close enough. You don't know. I don't think so. But that would be insane, and I would love that as a basketball fan. As a Nuggets fan, I fucking hate it, and it scares the shit out of me, and I don't want to. But at the same time, that's your galvanizing factor. But we've also seen the Heat did that. They came out of the East, so against the Nuggets. So you know what? Let's go in the play-in and play OKC round 1. What's up?
Yeah, Nuggets can't drop below 8th. It's impossible.
Okay, so they could still lose one game.
They have 47 wins. And
but if they lose the first game,
ninth place
then the
team,
second game is win.
The ninth place team, the Kings, have 39.
Okay.
So they 8th place is 46th.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't drop. They're guaranteed 2 playoff games right now, at a minimum, win or lose.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Again, yeah. Which is still weird, but okay, I'm in this. That just sounds fascinating, kind of though too. To really be invested in the play-in as more than just a novelty sounds kind of fun. But again, this team is too good for that. If this was a team that had struggles all year and we, scraped into the playoffs, and it's fuck yeah, we think we can beat anybody. The 94 Rockets, I believe is what it is. The first Rockets championship. Although the second one, when they're a 6 seed. That's kind of how it would feel. But this is the opposite. This feels like the Tim Tebow Broncos, where you lose the last few games of the season and you back your ass into the playoffs. And I would love for a Demaryius Thomas-esque miracle. And that still absolutely can happen. And they may not need it. They may win a couple games and stay out of the damn fucking play-in. But dude, this is crazy. This is crazy. That's it.
One game at a time. I mean, it's a matter of staying the ship, and hopefully this lights a spark under the team. And I'm sure like they're flying out to Sacramento today. I heard Hastings talking about that he was getting ready to get on board the plane, and it was going to be an interesting flight. And the first 10 minutes we're going to tell you everything about where the Nuggets are mentally at that point, because the front office was going to be on the plane too.
Do you think Scott Hastings replaces David Adelman as head assistant?
No.
I think Hastings wants nothing to do with coaching.
Yeah.
I know, I'm kidding. Honestly, though, like to Colin's point, Jokic may sort of adopt that kind of role as like a player coach type dude, really rallying the troops because somebody has to.
He does.
And maybe it opens up a spot for DeAndre Jordan as well, because that's been said that spot will be open. But that was also on Malone's staff, which doesn't exist now.
Well, I mean, Joker does it. You watch him during timeouts, and he'll take the dry erase board and start writing on it. DJ will do the same thing too. He'll pull those young guys aside and talk to them. DJ doesn't like to do it in public either, though. I mean, DJ's a quiet leader. That dude sits at the end of the bench, and if he has to have a word with somebody, he'll go sit next to him for a little bit, and then he's back to the end of the bench. Joker, it's more obvious because more cameras are on him. And I mean, no disrespect, nobody cares about DJ. He's sitting there on the bench, he's collecting his paycheck, and to most other people, nobody cares. We care because we watch, we watch and evaluate everything.
Yeah, and we know his influence as a leader. We're more aware. To the team. He's better as a leader than a player.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's just a matter of this plane ride is going to be what what shows us where this team is, and which way are they leaning. And I mean, if I were somebody of importance on that plane, we're watching Space Jam. We're gonna lighten the mood a little bit. We're gonna clear everything up. We're gonna throw on Space Jam. Everybody's gonna laugh at Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. Have some fun. And here's your bag of mixed popcorn of caramel corn and cheddar corn. Enjoy.
Come on,
speaking of jamming, I would like to say, shout out to Lindsay, Ronnie, and Farron all tuning in on Facebook. Appreciate y'all. Everyone else who's watching on E5280 Sports on X or on YouTube, appreciate you. Make sure you like and subscribe. And even if you don't want to hear any more of what we have to say, just let us play in the background, like with the sound off.
Yeah,
we're okay with that because we'll still be talking.
I mean, that helps us. Time.
So,
we still love you. I would like to personally welcome all of you to the jam.
We appreciate it, and you guys, everyone tuning in through everything. It really does mean a lot that you guys joined us, especially as we all got together for this emergency breakthrough pod at this moment in time. Because when there's breaking news, we got to talk about it, especially breaking news in Denver.
Significant breaking news, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, this has an effect on the entire NBA and the playoff race right now. So,
fun thing, the Nuggets play the Memphis Grizzlies, the other team who did this after Sacramento. So we get a battle of assistant coaches. So, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know.
In Denver,
it's Houston. Sacramento, Memphis, and Houston. 3 games left.
Those are the last ones. Yeah. So hopefully Houston has everything locked up and don't need to worry too much, so the Nuggets can kind of figure things out. But that's really what it's going to come down to is what does David Adelman change, if anything? Does he use these next few games to tweak some shit, figure something out before the playoffs, or is he just keeping it relatively status quo and just going with what the plan was? Because also, he had a big part of what the plan was. He's still the head assistant. I doubt that they were doing a bunch of things that he disagreed with as a coach because he was one of the coaches, But it's going to be interesting to see, what is different, if anything. And if nothing is different, that's noteworthy,
I mean, I'm assuming looking at the Rockets have 3 games left also. The only team that can catch them is the Lakers, and they have 4 games left. But I don't know what the head-to-head there is as far as who would get the higher seed. But I think the Rockets really don't have much to worry about, in all honesty. I think they're pretty much set. One win and they can't move up or down anymore for sure.
And that's good news.
But with 4 games left, Lakers need to sweep and the Rockets need to lose out for them to lose the 2 seed.
I mean, we said the Nuggets were impossible to lose out and be in danger of the play-in, and fucking look where we are. So,
yeah.
To quote Kevin Garnett,
that never existence, didn't we?
Anything is possible. But maybe it ends up being, for the best. It's something that was going to end up poisoning the well eventually. So you know what? This year it may have been a loss anyway, which just sucks to find out before the playoffs even start. But it's not actually that way yet because we don't.
This is an audition. He's not going to slack on this.
I was going to say maybe it does. Well, what do you guys think? Does it play out for the best?
I think it does because like I said, he knows this is an audition. I mean, there's going to be other coaches they're probably going to interview because they have to, but this is his time to shine, his time to show he can take this team over and make that left turn at Albuquerque instead of continuing wherever Malone was taking this team. It's time to stand up and basically, drop, spread your feet, let them drop, and here we go.
Joe, is this for the best?
I mean, I think it's gonna be, maybe even for this year because you do get that new coach bump, and because Adelman is a good coach and the players respect him, and maybe it ends up being a garbage fire, and that's important information. And so next year they're a lot better for it. It feels like something that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't absolutely necessary because Malone is a good coach. And so I think so. And it's made these last few games way more interesting. And it was already nuts with how there's 3 games between the 3 seed and the 8 seed.
And there's nothing better than that new coach smell.
Oh man. Yeah. It's all like leathery and stuff.
It's 2 games. Lakers have 48. 8 seed has, no. That's
awesome.
It's,
or is it like 2.5?
Yeah, no, 48 and 46.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 games.
And then, we'll just not look at their loss totals and the fact that no one ever plays the same amount of fucking games.
They all end up playing in 82.
Eventually. But right now, it's dude, it's nuts. It's one of the closest races ever. I've been seeing YouTube people talking about it for the past few days, how nuts the West Conference all of a sudden is because of the Lakers winning, the Nuggets losing, Memphis, so many things, like the fact that it's so close. And now, like David Adelman, here we go. What's up?
Wow, the Nuggets have dropped now to the 6th lowest, 6th highest odds. I don't know. They're in 6th place behind OKC, Boston, Cleveland, the Warriors, and the Lakers as favorites to win. So they're still ahead of the Knicks, the Clippers, the Timberwolves, the Pacers, the Rockets, the Bucks.
We fired the head coach, and we still have better odds than the Knicks.
That's interesting to me. So I'm wondering if the people out in Vegas who are pretty damn smart are kind of worried about that new coach bump thing too.
Maybe.
And the West is just so open. Like OKC, unproven. They've won a shit ton of games for sure, but a lot of that is their depth, which does not help you in the playoffs to their extent that they have depth. Their depth is nuts. Like obviously you have to have depth, but they're like ridiculously deep. That they ran like a 10 or 11 man rotation in the playoffs last year. I don't know if that works this year. The Rockets are super young. The Lakers don't have a front court. The Nuggets just fired their coach. Memphis just fired their coach. Golden State has, 3 old guys and a bunch of assholes. The Clippers exist. What the fuck are the Mavericks? Like, dude, this is crazy.
You forgot Minnesota.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I must have.
Nuggets for the West.
No, I didn't say it on
4th
purpose.
highest odds.
That was the joke.
To win the Western Conference and go to the finals.
You know what?
That's really interesting.
This might be the time to hit that bet just because the odds are so weird. Like, don't put a lot of money on it. Put like, $10, $20. You could turn it into a lot. It might even go lower. they blow that first game, let me see if those odds drop just a little bit more. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, the Houston Rockets, who are the 2 seed, are plus 2,500 in the Nugget to win the West.
Oh,
and the Nuggets
Still.
are plus 800.
That's crazy.
Like
wow, how do you not have faith in the? Okay, then I guess
people
that
don't
you
watch
just don't have
basketball.
faith in that Rockets.
I have a free bet. I'm going to put it on the Rockets. Just because.
I would do that. That would be smart.
What's a free $10? And the Timberwolves are plus 2,000. I don't really like the Timberwolves this year.
Okay.
I don't either.
But no, I'm also putting 10 on the Nuggets. So don't.
Yeah. So Nick,
get me wrong.
you can't take the Nuggets. Who are you taking to win the West? I guess are you going to take? I guess OKC probably. Sorry. Maybe. Take them out
I
too.
mean, it seems like the most logical answer, but the Warriors still scare me.
Yeah.
46-32 is not good, but for whatever reason, I mean that team just kind of snaps themselves into shape. Sometimes you're just like,
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. That was going to be my pick for whatever you said. It was like, man, the Warriors, they look scary. They look together,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the Warriors are a fine pick, but for a free $10 bet, I'm going to go with the Rockets plus 2,500.
That's a good one. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
what are the Clippers?
Do I think they're going to do it? No. But it'll keep me interested in watching at least.
Past the first round.
I mean, It depends on who they're playing in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because if they're playing the Nuggets, obviously, I don't want that to happen. But I don't know.
Cash out.
When we're talking about this, it's like, yeah, I think that these guys are better. I think it's going to be a better environment. And what Malone had created for the championship run, just they couldn't replicate it again. And so I think that the culture, the change was ultimately needed. And now these guys have to go out and, like I said, they have to answer for the firings of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that could go one of both ways. It's like they could tank and be like, it wasn't his fault. We don't care. Like, you let go of our guy. Or they just go out and ball and say, no, he did a good job. We didn't play up to our potential. And we've seen that before. We've seen teams come along after a coach gets fired and say, yeah, we felt terrible. We weren't playing up to our potential, and that kind of opened our eyes. So
yeah.
I mean, if you thought Jokic was playing at a next level this year, like, wait till you see Jokic feeling bad that he got a man fired. Like, remorseful Jokic? Oh, man, that could be like fucking Goku Ultra Instinct, man. Who knows?
He's going to start forcing quadruple doubles every game. He'll take the Westbrook approach, but to quadruple doubles.
Yeah.
It's like when Superman flies into the sun and absorbs all of the radiation, He'll
say Westbrook tries to put up a shot and he'll block and be like, you weren't going to make it anyways.
He's literally going to have a circle of fire at his feet like NBA Jam.
Yeah. I mean, this should be, it's clearly it was something that needed to be done. Obviously, the biggest reason it's big news right now is because of who it is and when it happened. I think if it happened after the season was over, it would still be big news, but it would be big news for us longer and, not so much. And then the National would cover for a day. We all know that. Here's your 24 hours of coverage. Go away, Denver. We still don't know where you are on the map.
For the last 3 games. Yeah. It's going to be covered for the last 3.
And we'd be potentially expecting it too, because depending on how the playoffs shake out, we would see the writing on the wall, whereas there was no writing on the wall now.
Yeah. And we talked about the trade deadline too. The trade deadline was going to determine Calvin Booth's future. Yeah. Because there was, compared to the Avalanche, there was absolutely nothing done.
Yeah, holy shit.
The Avs have transitioned themselves.
And the reason why I say it's going to be talked about for the next 3 games is because everything in the East is decided besides a few spots for playoff seeding. The play-in bracket is decided. Who's not in the play-in bracket is decided. Who's eliminated is decided. There's still a possible, team in the Suns who can make the playoffs, but the playoff bracket or the play-in tournament and the teams
1 through 8
are basically 3 through. Let's just call it 4 through 10 are not decided.
It's pretty, but the Suns have the same chance of getting in the playoffs that the Lakers have getting the 2 seed.
Taking number 2.
Like it's math taking a number 2. It's a mathematical chance, but like, bro, there's not. It's a so you're telling me there's a chance.
Oh, that
So
sounds
it's
like
pretty much set.
daydreaming.
Ooh, there you
Sounds
go.
like what?
Daydream.
Ah, there it is.
I fell
Well,
asleep
thanks
in
again,
the
everybody, for
flowers.
tuning in. I know it's like outside our normal context and times and everything, but again, we had to get it on and get some of our thoughts in on it too, just so we don't text each other constantly being like, "This is cool, this is dumb," and share with you guys. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the likes and the shares. Make sure you like, share, love, subscribe, and whatever else they let you do. Send us money if you want to.
Yeah, I like money.
It all helps.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael Spillane, and everybody over at ep280sports.com for hosting us and continuing to sponsor us and share us. Thank you to Pikes Peak Sports Cards, our sponsor. And thank you, all of you guys, for jumping in. Thank you for the share right there, Jeff Keck, or the like, I guess. We
What up,
appreciate
Jeff?
that.
My guy, Jeff.
So thank you again. We'll be back
Bears.
on Saturday morning. Saturday morning, we established that. So tune in then. It will be not just Nuggets basketball, although they may take up a good chunk of it still.
I'll be a part of it.
But thank you again, everybody, for Collins Anchor and Joe Goodwin. I'm Nick Archuleta. This has been Undrafted Uncensored, the emergency pod. Until next time, we love you.
Emergency pod firing squad.
Holy shit.